Michael Futrell. Well, I am actually the elected representative in the Virginia House of Delegates. So I represent both Prince William County and Stafford County in the General Assembly. Well, it's really the tale of two cities when you compare Prince William and Stafford. And it's in a whole lot of aspects, whether we were talking, partisan politics, Democrat to Republican, whether we were just talking about overall growth and how the population wants to proceed. There's usually differences. In Stafford County, you have more of a small home type feel, whereas Prince William is, it's very congested. We have a lot of people in a very small proximity. Well, for Stafford, and that's one thing that we do have in common. The biggest issue that we continue to run into around here is traffic. I tell people, Fridays after 2 o'clock, we're all prisoners in our own home because traffic's just locked up. And that's also because what we have here is we have a beautiful area where everyone wants to come. You can have a bigger home. We have great schools. But what happens is our people are traveling to and from, the Tyson's Corner area, the Washington, D.C. area. But because of that, we have our traffic issues that we continuously run into. Well, I am actually from a small town called Ottawa Lake, Michigan. So I've been in the area since 2008. I come from a very small town that's actually a lot like Stafford. And we're very close to a larger city. My family, my grandfather was the only elected African-American constable. He served for 35 years in that role in Ottawa Lake, Michigan. So, it used to be great to see him get up and put on his officer's jacket and, hop in the big truck with the lights on and protect and serve. So I come from a strong family that has a background in, wanting to serve and wanting to be able to positively impact our communities. And my father is the head coach and athletic director at Wilberforce University in Wilberforce, Ohio. So everyone asks, why do you do all that you do? It's because these are the things that were instilled in me. My job, whether I'm elected or not, is to positively impact my community. If I'm there, I need to do what I can to assist that community. It was actually my job. I was a pharmaceutical rep prior to. I was a teacher. And I got a job as a pharmaceutical rep, so they asked me to, move out to the East Coast, and that's what brought me out here. So, it's been an interesting ordeal, to say the least, is having that adjustment from going from, the Ohio, Michigan area to coming out to the East Coast. I tell people, my job brought me out here, and then my wife and I were married. I met my wife here at church, and I ended up taking custody of my younger brother. So my younger brother was raised by both my mother and his father, who had some issues with alcoholism and some other things, and they were going from homeless shelter to homeless shelter. So I had a custody battle for my younger brother, which is why I moved him out here with me from Ohio. So my wife and I said, well, at that point I had already had him in school. I brought him in his freshman year, so he would have been 14, so I would have been 27. We brought him in. When we brought him in, I remember his grades. I'll never forget. He had 3 Fs, 2 Ds, and a C coming from Ohio. And I said, oh, my Lord, what am I going to do? But at the end of his first semester, he finished with 5 As and 2 Bs. And by the time he was a senior, he was a 4.0 student, National Youth Leadership Forum selected, academic all-district for football, now currently plays college football at Ferrum College. And, it was one of those things where his grades progressed so well that we didn't want to move and take the chance of having to start that process over with him, which is what kept us in the area. And then after that, political office came calling. Being able to make a difference, being able to hear the stories and find out what's important to people, and having the opportunity to help them in whatever way that's needed. My father used to say that I had a Superman complex. I thought I could save the world. I told him he was right. But that's probably been the best part is you have the opportunity to reach out to so many people, and you find out what's important to you. I mean, and the thing is that there are so many things that you or I may not even ever think of or dream of because it hasn't impacted us or we haven't had the opportunity to see it. But in this role, it gives us an opportunity to see, okay, well, these are the things that are affecting families. These are the things that are affecting our community. and it gives you an opportunity to try to do something about it. Yeah, absolutely. I actually met the Stafford NAACP before I even ran for office. It was one of those ones where you're out at different events and you start to realize you see a lot of the same people at different events for a real cause. And right. So what happened was, we began to talk more and more. And then when word started coming around that people were asking me to run for office, we kind of talked back and forth. And they said, well, Mike, we noticed that you're always there and you always want to make an impact. And we could use your help making an impact. So, next thing I know, I was invited to a meeting. I was asked to show up, and, I help where I can. Again, that's why they ask us to do what we do. Well, it's an amazing place. I think it's very obvious why so many people want to come here. It's a close-knit community. People still know each other when they go to the grocery store. We have amazing schools. We have a great opportunity for your child to get the best education possible. And that's what sets them up for a better life. If you come around here, and I think you can kind of hear these same things with everyone that you speak to, we're progressing and we're growing, and it's going to grow. There's no question about that. That's just the era that we live in. But I don't feel like Stafford will ever lose that sense of connection that it currently has. And it's an amazing thing. And, I saw that so much throughout the campaign. And you talk about the steps and the leaps and the bounds that we've grown. Right now, I'm currently the only African American to ever represent Stafford in the General Assembly. Not only am I the youngest person to ever beat an incumbent, I'm the first minority to beat an incumbent, and I'm currently the youngest African American ever elected in the history of the Virginia General Assembly, which is the oldest governing body in the Western Hemisphere. And Stafford County played a huge role in that. So it shows how far we've come, and I'm excited about seeing how far that we're going to continue to grow.